first thing we're going to do is take the vacuum and pick up all this loose debris. Got some mothballs and that sort of stuff we're going to pull up first before we actually start the deep cleaning process.
That is some 60-year funk, man.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because it's not like it doesn't come off. You know, it's on there.
Right.
No transfer or anything. You know, it's all back here. Nothing's lifting off at all. So
let's see what happens.
Yeah.
This is exciting.
Alright, so after doing that preliminary vacuum, pulled this back bench out, and we just got some cotton candy mold down here. We're going to pull this back bench out regardless, but I can say for certain I was not expecting to find extra fuzzies hiding underneath of that. But that just goes to show us the whole point of doing it. How old's this nickel, Aaron? I can't even tell. It's so covered in crud. 1970. 1970 nickel under there. 75 penny. Yeah, fun stuff. So I'm going to go back through and vacuum this up again before we begin the treatment. And then what we'll do is we'll start from the back and then move forward down this way.
All right.
Ah, there we go.
I believe Eileen giving me a hard time about keeping the camera steady yesterday. I was like, this is why I don't do videos.
You know, they got like this cool little software that you put in afterwards that says stabilize and fixes everything.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Oh, no, maybe not if you have an iPhone. I don't know. God damn.
Yeah, see, this is what you get for being a hater. I didn't even know you could do this.
Come on, man. This is Wax Worxx Detailing. We can do everything, including break your shit.
But we'll fix it and you won't even know it. I'm coming around.
It's so...
What happens if I get in the trunk and kick?
No, that's not how this works.
Oh.
So these are these little, there's these hooks. They're not press pins, they're hooks. And this upholstery sits right there. There's a hook right here. It sits down and it tucks right into it. Well, what we got to do is A, pop that seat off that hook, but lift it at the same time. But they're so old and rusted up. I kick my foot over here. And I don't know, I mean, Aaron can smell it. You guys can't smell it over the phone, but there is just odor oozing out of this car from doing this, disturbing all this old stuff. And there we go. And again, I mean, this is exactly why we're doing this. That is just rat's nest out the wazoo. You could have cleaned this to look absolutely perfect, and you're still sending someone home in a vehicle that is literally going to get them sick. Now we're going to just disconnect this wire, which is just one little toggle hot. I'll put that in properly for this guy after he picks this guy up. Yeah, and that's what's behind there. This, you guys can't feel the texture of this, but it's not wet, but it's obviously been very wet in the past. It's falling apart, it's flaky, and again, just oozing odor. So we'll probably wind up trashing this piece and either seeing if we can find some sort of version of a replacement, or what we'll do is instruct the client to have a piece of plexiglass, polyvinyl, whatever, cut in place of this. But this isn't required or anything. This is essentially just a vibration dampener, so this metal on metal doesn't sound like that going down the road. Oh, now we got it. Yeah. Breath of fresh air. Can you taste it?
Yeah. But for me, it brings back nostalgia.
Now that we have this backrest out, we have access to clean this edge to edge. So instead of just cleaning what you would see, we're able to clean it all entirely, as well as be able to reach all up and back here. And again, because we're dealing with mold, mildew, rat nest, it's important to get everything done up. So what we're going to do next is take the air compressor and blow anything out of these side panels out. Realistically, removing these is always great, but in a car this old like this, they will not survive. Whether this leather is going to peel up, whatever the circumstance is going to be, because again, we're looking to restore this car, not send it all out for reupholstering. And that's like some fuzzies. Here you go, Aaron.
Look at that tire jack.
This is an OEM tire jack, not even bolted in. Yeah, so now we're gonna take the vacuum through this again, pick up all this loose stuff, and then work with the tornador and the air compressor to blow all this sort of stuff off. Probably have to mask up for that on this vehicle. And
yeah,
then,
I wouldn't want to be breathing in any of this mold.
Yeah, and then once we do that, we're gonna blow out these back area of the carpets, and then we'll start with Kraken and just scrub a dub.
All right, sir. You know, we say RTU is 10 to 1.
Okay.
That's the standard, especially like if it's not horrible or whatever. But I don't, we might need to bump it up a notch.
Well, we're gonna use this in combination with Kraken for the deeper clean.
Oh snap!
And then go over top of it with Typhon for it.
Nice. I like that. I like that idea.
We're gonna use Kraken in the foamer to do our hard scrubbing. And
Okay.
then we'll use Typhon as both the odor eliminator and a nice final touch, because Typhon has such a gorgeous feeling over top of the plastic materials.
And it smells wonderful.
It does indeed. You know, us detailers, we say we measure stuff, but yeah, it looks right.
Very high tech in the waxwork garage.
Don't leave anything too fancy, man. Water gets purified out before it comes to the shop, so I know I'm using everything good as it comes out. All these people have these fancy distillations. So what we're gonna do now, Aaron,
Yes, sir.
is we're gonna work back to front. So we're gonna do that back vinyl panel by the window,
Okay.
and then we'll move up to these door panels next.
Okay.
We're going to leave the headliner alone for the time being, and at the very end, we're going to come through on the headliner itself. This headliner is surviving very, very nicely, so I want to make sure we don't agitate this too much during our process. You know, we're going to be bumping our heads into it and like that, so no reason to clean that just yet.
All right. Yeah, and when it comes down to it, you're probably going to go 20 to 1 on the Typhon just to make sure that you don't mess with that adhesive.
The adhesive's on there, yep. Oh.
I've always had that problem.
Early release.
Early release.
And then we got Kraken. I can't. We've got Kraken mixed in the foamer again. Right. What are we doing this? About 10 to 1, 15 to 1. Nothing too aggressive, because we're gonna use this little bit elbow grease to actually work this.
And you got no problem just letting it rip.
Right here?
Yeah.
What's it gonna hurt? Kraken's good for all this vinyl and everything. Properly distilled, there's nothing that the Kraken's gonna hurt. You can use it on your most delicate leathers or your toughest messes. And bam. Now we're gonna work this. Just a standard boar's hair brush. Nothing too fancy at all. Kraken's no really need to dwell because we're not using any water base. We're just working with the foamer instead of a foam can or anything. So we'll just jump right in. You can just
Look at that.
just melts it right off of there.
Look at that.
And I just have to say, I am so happy to have finally introduced chemicals into the cleaning process, because now I can smell something other than mold and rat turds. Put that down.
Look at that.
Now what we're going to initially do is just wipe that stuff off, the overspray off that headliner a bit. Top to bottom, back to front. It's always the way you want to work. That's just touching the headliner from that overspray that's not even being worked or activated.
Wow.
And now what we're doing with this rag now is we're not necessarily going to remove the product, because we're still going to steam clean this afterwards. We're just going to kind of work it again while getting all this base top gunk off of there. So when we come through with a steam cleaner, we can have a much nicer clean surface to work it.
Goodbye 1966.
And I mean, again, working with Kraken, this is exposed cardboard, softboard, whatever you want to call it underneath of there. Not even lifting it up or anything, because we're using the proper dilution of Kraken. That's all grime and dirt right there.
Wow. And you're really not putting in a whole lot of effort.
No, the Kraken itself does the majority of the work. The horsehair brush acts as but the agitator to kind of massage it into it. But the real solution here is the chemical reaction Kraken has when coming in contact with contamination, dirt, and filth and grime. And again, the odor is just so pleasant to experience right now. And we're just going to get this off this back glass here, as well as wipe down that stainless trim that's on the inside. I mean, you can see here, Aaron, we got old vinyl tack adhesive. This is exactly what this is glued down with. I mean, the Kraken was just exposed to our top end. Nothing. Not gumming up, not cracking or anything. You can pull off the little tails like you'd be able to do anytime, but I mean, that's still perfectly adhered, so ain't nothing going wrong with that. Look at this. It's just stuff coming off of this carpet. Mm-hmm. Ah, you can. Oh.
Yep, I'm watching.
Just shedding.
Right, this is incredible.
That Kraken is the magical cure, man. Absolutely. And it's again, the real great thing is the dynamic nature of the product. This is the same product we use to melt that grime off that engine bay. This is the same product we use to clean the wheel wells. So even the wheels, we clean the wheels with this.
Yep. Before you do this side, I'm going to get a zoom in on the condition so that we can see a real before and after. I mean, if it's going to be anything like these doors here, just, I mean, look at that. And then what Ryan just did with the Kraken, let me zoom in on that panel. Look at that.
And this is just the first stage of the cleaning process.
Sure.
You know, we're using Kraken to bulk this junk off, but we're going to come in here with Typhon and the Steamer, and that's where we're going to get that crispy nature back to it.
Sure. That's wild. It's just absolutely wild.
All right, man. If you want.
This is just, you know, for posterity reasons, just so that, you know, there's no like trick photography or that wasn't as dirty and blah, 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 blah. Look, it is the same condition as what I just showed you on the front doors and the back doors, and you're going to see an unbelievable transformation.
Crawl in here.
Yet another reason why I could never survive as a detailer. Because I'm just too fat to be crawling around like that. Melts it off, man.
And without damaging that vinyl underneath there whatsoever. I mean, it's not bleeding black or anything. There's no dyes running. This is just the dirt and grime getting taken off of this thing.
As a detailer, that's got to be so satisfying.
I get more satisfaction out of the final product. You know, the whole cleaning ASMR isn't really what does it for me. It's more or less my client's reaction, you know?
Sure. But I mean, just to kind of see your efforts, you know, paying off. Like, you know, you don't have to troubleshoot. You don't have to be like, oh, this isn't working. I got to figure out, you know, what's
For sure.
You
The
know what I mean?
reliability is always...
You know, 'cause, I mean, as a detailer, your time is money, and the more time you have to spend on a project, you know, basically the less money you're getting. So, that's pretty wild.
And then this panel's actually got some, it's like greasy on here. You can, it's tacky, it's sticky. And it's taken its due time to come off, but it does come off. See that gray splash? That's probably something that the steamer is gonna make better work of. But it's coming right off on the rag. It's again something greasy or sticky. Could be lithium grease or something like that just once sprayed in that window track.
Hey man, you do you. Like I said, the thing that I've learned is that no two detailers detail the same way. And you know, people will say, "No, this is the right way to do it, the only way to do it." You know, and you know, this is what the detailer Bible says. And quite frankly, like you said earlier, it's kind of the end results is what really matters the most.
So what we're going to do now is we have Typhon properly diluted in our secondary container. And again, starting back, moving forward, we're going to just spray that nice and liberally. Now with Typhon, we're going to use that in addition to the steamer.
I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. For the record, it's Typhon, like Typhon, because typhoon is a tropical storm, whereas typhon is a mythological monster that destroys other monsters.
Well, you make the product, so you describe how it's said.
I just don't want to be confused with another company's water-based name.
Oh man, just the odor of that heat being activated on that Typhon. That's amazing. Now, I'm using the steamer, and we're going to press that into these edges here. But again, realistically, I'm helping activate the actual product itself, going more for the odor neutralization reaction going. And being relatively gentle with the steamer, because the chemicals themselves aren't going to damage what's going on here, but with the addition of intense heat, that's where you're going to run into your problems. And we're just kind of pushing the rag into these cracks and crevices. And this is what we're calling the secondary cleaning process. You know, this is, we're now looking to have a clean panel. Kraken on itself did 80% of the work. We're taking advantage of that odor neutralization of Typhon. And now we're just kind of going to buff this into a nice dry state.
That looks amazing. That looks amazing.
Oh, and again, just the odor is just being lifted out of this back area as we're going. Oh, damn. That's what we're looking for out of that. Clean, grease-free, with a nice, natural shine. Perfect. Let the loose water out of the steamer. Come in with Typhon. Nice little misting. Buff off this leftover grease and grime. And something that's cool to note here, Aaron, is look at these chrome and metal pieces, man. They're also coming out very nice and clean, and this is without even involving any sort of polishing process or anything. I mean, this is nice and clean. Looks great. And that's just using the cleaners to pull off that baked in grime.
Incredible. incredible.
What is it you always say? Shazam?
Shazam!
We're gonna come under here to this tight.
Dude, your level of detail is just incredible.
Perfect. And then we'll work on that side next. And then what we'll do once all those three are done is we're going to come in with the air compressor, blow it all out again, and then just steam for a final pass.
Do a little.
Perfect example of where Typhon really gets to show its shine here is because it's a less aggressive product. I'm able to work with the steam a bit more to remove that baked on grease or grime, whatever it actually is that's on top of this. It's coming out thick, and the steam mixed with the Typhon lets me have sort of that slip solution as I'm working, while letting the heat of the steamer do exactly what it needs to do and just lift that material off of this. That is something I absolutely could have done with a more diluted version of the Kraken cleaner, but this heat activated Typhon really gets that odor elimination going. I mean, you can smell it in the air. It's lemony sweet almost right now. What we're doing now is I'm just spot tackling some of these heavier spots that have that sort of grease contamination. You can see it's coming off all over the rag. And again, Typhon as being the absolute perfect agent to use for this because it gives me more time to work with the steam without worrying about being too chemically aggressive on these old vinyls and leathers and plastics. that natural no shine additive. I mean, there's nothing better than a properly clean panel, but it doesn't feel tacky, greasy, grimy. It just feels natural, exactly how it's supposed to. Soft even, it's the best way to describe it. All right, man. Crawl out of here and take a breath. Have this back portion nice and clean. We're not doing the carpet yet. We're gonna start with this back clip area of these seats. We're gonna include both this actual back post, the sides here going forward, the sides down here, back in here, as well as cleaning out the inside gullies of the front of the seat now. And to do that, we're again gonna start off with our Kraken right in our pump sprayer. And again, this is some old school leather right here, properly diluted Kraken, and we're just gonna go right over top of it. And that's something I'm gonna do on the areas that we're not actively working on, this overspray. We are gonna clean that off just because we don't want that to dwell ahead of time before we get to cleaning that. Just gonna give all that a quick.
Ryan, you can see it. I mean, you haven't even touched it with the brush.
Melting.
And it's just come, look at that. And the dirt is just melting off of there.
So now that we've gone ahead and we've wiped down our overspray real quick, again, just to prevent it dwelling ahead of time, we're gonna take our boar's hair brush. And then we're additionally going to take a little detail brush here, scrub it into some of these tighter to reach areas. And then an additional step we're going to do on these back these back leathers, is we're going to take a dry rag and actually put some foamed up product on that. And we're going to use this to both remove a lot of the contamination that's on here, but as well as work this product a little more. There was a bunch of old mold and dead growth on these seats.
If you don't believe him, check that out. We haven't done this seat yet, and that's what he's talking about. Unleash the Kraken.
Make sure we press this up underneath where it wraps around as well and everything. Pushing it into the seat trays, cleaning both sides, both the seat itself and these chrome plating pieces. And then we're also, this time, just going to immediately, right over top of this, jump into spraying Typhon. And then we're going to jump right into using this steam cleaner on this portion as well, as that's all still wet and activated. And that's exactly what I'm looking for, is for it to stay activated as I'm working it. Come through with our dry rag and just dry this portion off, and then we're going to work this side here.
Ryan, that's an incredible transformation.
Absolutely.
I mean, just wild.
Getting all that dead growth off, and there's a few cracks and crevices we're still going to have to come in and do. We're just trying to get the bulk of this off for now.
Now, at the very end of it all, would you put any kind of like dressing on this, or?
Yeah, I would use a water-based leather protectant, vinyl sealer, whatever you want to refer to it as, and we're going to actually work that with the steamer. And that's, again, to avoid any sort of greasy, wet, kind of tacky feeling. The water-based stuff is great because the steamer and the heat kind of forces it into the pores and the grain without you having to leave that residual feeling over top of it. And now that we've got that bulk done, again, we're going to work on these tighter spots. So we're going to work on that fascia there of that. And then we're going to do these kind of detailed spots around this threading and stitching. I want to let this dry. You can see where this old growth has kind of stained into the material.
Yeah.
I do expect that to pull off once we let this humidity kind of air off a bit.
All right.
And if it doesn't, I'll kill myself. And you can see that old growth really stained the shit out of that. But nice and clean, dry to the touch. Not gonna get anybody sick sitting in it.
Mold. Yummy.
Yeah, man.
No mold.
Yeah, man, perfect.
Hey, that looks like, I don't want to be that guy, but it looks like new.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that would resolve this lack of color, the staining, would be if we were to introduce dye into the detail here, which I'll call the client and see if that's a route he wants to go. Some people actually often opt not to do that sort of stuff because it really keeps the more original, authentic vibe a lot more.
I would agree with that. I would rather it be just kind of like, you
not perfect, but original, untouched. You know,
maybe a dressing that's like you said, the water-based dressing sealant,
yeah,
to keep it from cracking and whatnot. But other than that, I would. I mean, we're talking about a 1966 Impala. Like, you still want it to feel like a 1966 Impala.
Absolutely, man. I mean, the real thing is, you know, we're in the shop here where we're comparing stuff to brand spanking new vehicles. You know?
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's almost funny that we're going to do this, and we're going to park it next to that Ranger Raptor, and you're going to be like, yeah, you know, obviously they look very different, but considering how old this car is, do they really?
Right.
And then you go out in the Walmart parking lot and you see a 2-year-old minivan that literally looks like it just got pulled out of a lake.
Right. Right. No, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And like I said, like as clean and as restored as you're going to make this, you still want it to feel
like
authentic,
the car it is,
original. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
What do you do about something like that, though?
The rip steering wheel,
yeah.
That'll again will be another call to him to see if he wants to cut that off and remove it.
Yeah, it looks like it's
like an aftermarket
product already. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will probably call him and see if he'd like me to cut that off and remove it, or if he would like me to clean that as well. That's a lot of it is choice driven.
Sure. That's awesome.
You know, like one of the
1966 saving your life right there. That's a seatbelt from 1966.
Like a big thing is the carpet for this car is going to be surprisingly cheap. We could probably drop a new carpet in this thing for like $200. But he has opted to instead pay the labor to take this original carpet and make that look as good as possible.
Exactly.
Which again is choice. It all depends what you're going for with
that would
the
be
car.
my choice though.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people's choice, especially when you don't work in the industry. You got to remember, like, there's history in this car, and there's history in that carpet, and that might be part of the deciding factor, you know? To me, I see it as, you know, I can make this carpet look 80%, but it would literally be cheaper to make it look 100% to replace the carpet. But it's all choice and perspective driven, you know?
Sure.
As anyone will tell you that's worked on these jute line Well, yeah, man. I mean, you can see that it's obviously has to do with a different panel too, because this has none of that residual staining, where this has that discoloration staining. And again, I think once we let this moisture kind of dry out, and then we introduce a conditioner to that, we're going to levy a lot of that off of there as well.
Sure, but still, I mean, it's night and day.
Oh, it's not even in the same ballpark
yeah,
anymore. You're talking about junkyard condition versus driver condition, you know?
100%.
And then, I mean, down here, just looks absolutely fantastic, because this has been blocked by the UVs its whole life, you know?
Sure.
There's no sun powder in there. So, I mean, this looks like brand spanking new leather off that showroom down here.
Eileen's going to yell at me for that.
Then you can bring it. You can just see. We got plenty of work to do still.
Oh,
but
yeah. Oh, yeah. With the Kraken.
Again, just to wipe off that overspray. Don't want that to dwell ahead. comes up so nice in that foamer, man. It's fantastic. So we're going to now tackle this passenger side door, and it just has baked on crud, more mold and mildew, and there's definitely a little bit of evidence of some, I don't know what you would call it, but there's something sticky randomly throughout this panel here. So we're going to tackle this just like we've tackled every other piece of plastic and leather on this car so far. Pump up the foamer using Kraken in here, and we are just going to liberally spray that onto every area we're going to work here.
You know, there are kids today that have never seen a manual window.
It's one less thing to break, man. They still sell some pickup trucks with them. I think Dodge will still sell you a Ram with a manual window.
Really?
I know Ford doesn't anymore, though.
Dude, look at that. That is nuts.
Yep. So what we're doing now is we're pretty much just, not only are we allowing this to dwell, but we want it to crawl. When I say crawl, we want this foam to come down and sink. Now it's sinking into these cracks and crevices and grooves. It's also bleeding as it's doing that, which is always great. It means the chemical's doing its job. But this dwelling into these cracks and grooves is going to make for a significant difference when we come with the steamer, rather than just jumping into the steamer. This is already going to allow that to chemically break down, so the steamer can then naturally break it down. That is just some good, some good gunk right there.
Crazy.
Yep. And now we're gonna
go. You haven't even touched it with a brush.
Nope. And that's exactly what we're gonna do now. We're gonna take our trusty boar's hair brush. We're going to just back foam that a little bit, and just work it. And that's exactly what we're looking for. It's just sliding off. And this isn't, gonna hurt this vinyl whatsoever. We have a properly diluted solution. and we're just able to let this work in its way. And this is just really showing off the diversity of being able to use Kraken. Using it in the foamer is a great tactic to allow this to bleed into these cracks and crevices more. But you could get these absolute same results if you were just using a direct sprayer. No problem at all. The foamer is just an additional tool. It gives you a little more working time, helps the product stick towards your surface material more. But absolutely, man, this is
60 years of funk.
just melting this thing right off of here.
So cool.
And again, Kraken, all surface safe. We're hitting the steel, we're hitting the vinyl, we're hitting the chrome. Going to go up against these rubber gaskets, everything. We're just cleaning everything with this. We're even going to come through and we're going to clean this green funk off of this sill and foam here as well with Kraken.
Dirt. Look at all that dirt.
Yeah.
This is gross.
Cream colored. It's no longer white. It's just sloshing off of there. And now what we're going to do, come in with the steamer. We're going to purge the hose. And then we're going to go top to bottom. We're going to use the steam to push the product on and off both directions, as well as we're going to use the steam to push the Kraken out of these cracks and crevices we've had it dwelling into. Steamer, dried it off. We're going to take some Typhon and we're going to take a small detail brush and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to use Typhon directly instead of the foamer. And we're doing part of this, A, because Typhon has some additional benefits that Kraken doesn't have, and one of them being its odor elimination. It's got active enzymes that eliminate odors that are built up in bacteria, mold, and mildew. We're just going to take our detail brush and we're just going to work this. Again, we've already done the bulk of the cleaning with the Kraken. Typhon just has such a nice foam density as it is, man.
Yeah. Dude, and that smell, right?
It's
just
exactly
makes it enjoyable to work with.
You know, Kraken alone cleaned it. We could have done a second pass with Kraken and absolutely call this done. But this process right here is where I think Typhon has its time to shine. That odor that it brings out, not only does it neutralize existing odors, but just that pleasant smell it has. Not only is it great to work with, but it's always good to leave something clean smelling rather than chemically smelling over top of a panel as you're working on something like this on the interior. But you can just see the clear difference between the 2 cleaning stages. We don't have any brown gunk foaming up on
No.
this or anything. I mean, Kraken's already done the hard work for us. This is just, and again, as I've told Aaron, I really enjoy the natural yet subtle shine that Typhon brings out. No oils, chemicals, grease, or grime. It just brings it to its natural stage while also acting as a great hydrating agent, especially when being used in combination with steam. We're gonna purge the steamer and then just come right on into it. Just the aroma, once it hits the steam, it's just so pleasant.
That's incredible.
This is after the Typhon cleaning. We steam that down. Now we're just drying it up, making sure we got no loose product on there.
Like it doesn't even have that staining that
No,
the seats had.
Okay.